Dr. Mchangizi here with your Science Moment. Imagine that you were a centralized government or a fact-checker group and you had not just powerful computers and lots of undergrads, which is all they really have, but instead you had the resources, the computational resources of the universe at your disposal. Then might you be able to be justified in some sense to do your fact-checking because you've got effectively arbitrarily large computational resources at your disposal. Now, we've talked before about how science shouldn't be centralized, both a moral should, but it also just can't be centralized. It can't be done in a centralized fashion. It requires creativity in the individual heads of thousands and thousands of scientists, and it requires the complex turmoil of all of these scientists sort of interacting with one another and sort of not canceling each other and letting them be open-minded and letting them sort of troggle their way towards the truth. But it's even deeper than that. Even if you had these arbitrarily high computational resources, you still can't do science on your own. Now, rather than talking about science per se, let's think about something even simpler. Arithmetic. Arithmetic is just the study of all the truths, all the true things about arithmetic. And arithmetic is just all the natural numbers, 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way up. And you've just got plus and minus, and then you've got multiplication and division, right? That's it. You basically have times and plus and all the natural numbers. And there's infinitely many truths about arithmetic. So you might say, well, surely if there were folks online and in the community, in the public space, arguing about the truths of arithmetic, some are, of course, going to be spouting misinformation. That is, they may believe what they're saying, but they're wrong. Those theorems are not true. And other people happen to be saying true theorems. And so, well, the centralized government or the fact checkers could say, look, we've just used our massive, universe-sized computers to figure out what the truth is, and here's the side that's true. The rest of you guys just shut up. Suppose that was ethical, so long as that you were getting at which things are true or not, which is, of course, still not the case. Even so, there is no such computer, no matter how large you allow it to be, that can actually do this. This is one of the great undecidability results of the 20th century. It's related to Gödel's incompleteness theorem, and it concerns the limits of computational machines. This was the area of my PhD, which is in mathematics and in mathematical logic and theoretical computer science. But these are well-known results, and the reason that they're deep is they tell you about the fundamental limitations on what can be thought, what can be computed by any finite creature anywhere. Even something as simple as arithmetic can't be done by a finite computational machine. Another way to say that is that if you have a finite set of axioms, you cannot derive all the truths of arithmetic from it. And even if you have an infinite set of axioms that you can sort of use a recipe to sort of generate, that is the sense in which still it's finite because you have a finite recipe that can generate these infinitely many axioms, you still can't, from these infinitely many axioms, derive all the truths of arithmetic. You'll always miss certain truths of arithmetic. In fact, you'll, in some sense, miss most of them, which is a complicated way to describe what happens when you actually do these theorems. Most of the complexity of arithmetic can't be reached by any one of these finite computational heads. It requires many heads doing creative, strange things in a non-algorithmic fashion to hope to find these truths, which is what actual mathematicians do. Actual mathematics works by virtue of individual mathematicians being artists in their own heads. And it works by virtue of all of them interacting in a community, sometimes saying theorems that they thought were true, but it turns out others can say, no, that's not true. And it's that same turmoil that happens both inside their heads and across the community within mathematics that has to happen for arithmetic truths and for all mathematical truths to be discovered. What's true about arithmetic is then, of course, true about the much more complicated activities within science generally, and within all of the truth-finding stuff that society does and the networks of us humans do. Fact checkers can't do it. Centralized algorithms, centralized recipes can never do it and should never be allowed to be in the hands and kept in the hands of centralized control, not only for ethical reasons, because it's just not possible. And that was your Science Moment.